It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Oh, yeah, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, April 13th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mostly cloudy day on the way, but the good part is going to be warm. The high 78. Tonight and overnight clear, low 63, and even warmer for Tuesday. I love this. Sun and clouds, high 82. If you are walking out the door with us right now, 46 and clear in Bedford up in Westchester, 49 and cloudy in Westfield over in New Jersey, and it's 50 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Peace talks fail, so what's up next in Iran? A funeral today for a Brooklyn baby gone too soon. Mayor Mamdani is ready to open the city's first free grocery store. Cops in New Jersey unsure who's behind a mass shooting at a fast food restaurant. And those famed Long Island parrots need a new place to live. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. U.S. Central Command says it'll begin enforcing a blockade on Iranian ports starting 10 a.m. this morning Eastern time, here, the East Coast time. President Trump speaking about this blockade last night. This is after talks between Iran and U.S., the first direct talks, I'll point out, since 1979. First two times the two nations have spoke directly since 1979. They failed over the weekend after 21 hours of talks. So here was the president last night talking about this blockade.
We have a lot of people, as you know, at 10 o'clock tomorrow, we have a blockade going into effect. That'll be 10 o'clock tomorrow. Other nations are working so that Iran will not be able to sell oil.
The statement came hours after President Trump posted on Truth Social directing the U.S. military to clean out the Strait of Hormuz. The decision follows that marathon unsuccessful peace negotiations in Pakistan that were led by Vice President Vance.
We have more oil because of drill baby drill. We have more oil than Russia and Saudi Arabia put together. So if you look at Russia and Saudi Arabia, two big ones, we have much more oil than they have.
Now, the ceasefire is still in place. Don't know what that'll mean if this blockade begins. In that Sunday post, the president wrote that the U.S. Navy will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the strait, calling the situation world extortion and saying the U.S. will not be extorted. The president spoke about this as well on Fox News. He said Iran refused to give up their nuclear ambitions during the peace talks in Pakistan, and that's why they failed.
I will tell you, it was a good meeting yesterday, really a good meeting, except for one problem, and it's 95%. They want to have nuclear weapons. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, so following the meetings, Vice President J.D. Vance said the U.S. made its terms very clear, and Iran had chosen not to accept them. He said, we go back to the U.S. having not come to an agreement, and insisted the U.S. needs a commitment from Iran that it will not seek a nuclear weapon. And that's why the president says things fell apart.
They can't have nuclear weapons. They have nuclear. They want to enrich what they have. They want to enrich more. So we were well represented, but we didn't get there on the important issue. They want to have nuclear weapons. They're not going to have nuclear weapons. I've been saying that for 30 years. I would never allow that to happen before I was in politics.
Okay, so what does this blockade exactly mean? The president was asked that question on Fox Business yesterday.
But we're putting on a complete blockade. We're not going to let Iran make money on selling oil to people that they like and not people that they don't like or whatever it is. It's going to be all or none, and that's the way it is. Well, we're going to be blockading. It'll take a little while, but it'll be effective pretty soon. And it'll be, you saw what we did with Venezuela. It'll be something very similar to that, but at a higher level.
Okay, so we'll see that starting at 10 a.m., whatever that means, this morning in the Strait. Meanwhile, you have the Democrats pushing back. Senator Tim Kaine taking to the news shows yesterday, calling for the ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran to be extended after the peace talks ended with no deal.
Both parties, when they left the negotiation in Pakistan, said the door wasn't closed to additional negotiation, and so even an imperfect ceasefire is better than resuming full war.
The Virginia Democrat, he was on ABC this week.
We need to extend the ceasefire. We shouldn't be in this war to begin with. You know, what people need to realize is we had a diplomatic control over Iran not seeking a nuclear weapon that Donald Trump decided to tear up.
And as those peace negotiations fell apart over the weekend, you had Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu speaking out, saying their war with Iran is not over.
The Prime Minister gave a 13-minute-long speech on Israeli TV Saturday night, intended to strengthen support for Israel's war with Iran. Netanyahu assured his critics that the battle is not yet over and claimed Israel had already achieved historic accomplishments in the war. The Prime Minister did not mention the peace talks underway in Pakistan between Iran and the U.S. I'm Scott Carr.
Yeah, so negotiations on Lebanon. So meanwhile, talks between Israeli and Lebanese diplomats are due to take place this week. Israeli attacks targeting Iran-backed Hezbollah militants, terrorists continued overnight, resulting in more deaths and injuries, but apparently there will be talks maybe as soon as today. 5:05, let's bring it back home. It was a bloody weekend across the tri-state. 1 person dead, 6 wounded after a mass shooting at a Chick-fil-A in North Jersey, and they're still looking for the gunman this morning.
The Union County prosecutor says the wounded suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Customers ran for cover as masked gunmen stormed the Chick-fil-A on Route 22 in Union Township just before 9 p.m. Saturday and say the shooters went directly behind the counter and opened fire. One worker's dad drove there after his son called in a panic, telling ABC7 it was like a war zone. There's no official word yet on whether anyone is in custody, but there is video of a gunman fleeing the scene. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
Yeah, I can give you that update. No gunman is in custody. Coming up after 5:30, we're going to hear from some of the people working in that restaurant and eyewitnesses to that shooting. A funeral going to be held later today for the 7-month-old baby girl killed by a stray bullet as she sat in her stroller in Brooklyn.
The Reverend Al Sharpton scheduled to give the eulogy during the so-called homegoing service at Bed-Stuy's Cornerstone Baptist Church for little Kaori Patterson Moore. It was back on April 1st in broad daylight. The baby was in a stroller with her 2-year-old brother when she was fatally shot in the head by a gunman on the back of a moped. Her brother grazed by the bullet but survived. The driver, Matthew Rodriguez, and alleged shooter, Amori Green, both charged with murder and attempted murder in the shooting, believed to be gang-related. In New York, I'm Jennifer Polsoni.
WABC News Time 5:09. The man shot and killed by police in Grand Central on Saturday after authorities say he stabbed multiple people with a machete. He's now been identified. We know who he is.
Police say 44-year-old Anthony Griffin stabbed 3 people, leaving one with a fractured skull before being shot by police. Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch.
The individual refused to comply with at least 20 orders to drop the knife. Officers also attempted to de-escalate and offer assistance, saying, "We are going to get you help."
Griffin was reportedly acting erratically and referring to himself as Lucifer during the incident. Police say they do not believe the incident was an act of terror. The victims, aged 65, 70, and 84, are all expected to survive.
And coming up after 5:30, we're going to hear from the man who had the machete. We're going to hear from his girlfriend and what she had to say about his mental health. Coming up after 5:30. California Congressman Eric Swalwell speaking out over the weekend after being accused of rape.
These allegations of sexual assault are flat false. They're absolutely false. They did not happen. They have never happened, and I will fight them with everything that I have.
The leading Democrat in the governor's race posting a video on Instagram. This was on Saturday after 4 women came forward with sexual misconduct allegations. An unnamed former staffer telling CNN he raped her twice, once when she was almost blackout drunk. She says she remembers telling him no, but he did not stop.
I've certainly made mistakes in judgment in my past, but those mistakes are between me and my wife.
Okay, so the call for him to either step aside from this race or get out of Congress, that grew as these accusations came out. Here was Florida Republican Anna Paulina Luna spearheading the charge after these sex assault claims against Swalwell surfaced on Friday.
I am going to be bringing forward the motion to expel Eric Swalwell next week.
Yeah, and there were other congressmen both sides of the aisle saying the same thing.
We should not tolerate this behavior. and Representative Swalwell needs to go.
So late yesterday, the California Democrat, Eric Swalwell, the congressman, suspending his campaign for governor.
The drumbeats grew too loud for the Democrat and calls for him to step back. He took to his X profile to say that he was deeply sorry for mistakes in judgment he has made in the past, adding that he will fight what he called these serious false allegations that have been made. A former staffer says she was raped by Swalwell. District attorneys' offices in New York and Alameda County are investigating her claims. Florida Republican Anna Paulina Luna plans to introduce the motion to expel Swalwell from Congress after the sexual assault claims surfaced against him on Friday. I'm Rob Martier.
Yeah, it got bad as the weekend went on. His campaign co-chairs, they stepped down. California Senator Adam Schiff, one of his most prominent Democrats to support his campaign, he rescinded that endorsement over the weekend. And recent polls had actually showed Swalwell edging ahead of his Democratic rivals and gaining on Republican Steve Hilton. He's the candidate that's been endorsed by President Trump. But it now seems that his campaign may be over. At least he suspended it for now. So the way California works, by the way, when they pick a governor, is they have a primary where they have all the candidates' names, Republican and Democrat, and then they take the top two winners of that primary and they move on to the race in November. So they can be from either party or the same party. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens because some of the other Democrats were not as well known as Swalwell. Will they be able to take his place? Will they be able to outlast the two Republicans in the race who have been polling very well? It'd be interesting to see. California might get its first Republican governor in a while. 513, while we're out in California, a multi-million-dollar fraud scheme's been uncovered there. Scammers have been using stolen identities to charge for hospice care.
They used fake records, non-existent offices, and fake diagnoses to justify these claims.
That's Attorney General Rob Bonta says the so-called patients were healthy, out of state, unaware they had been enrolled in this hospice. The people behind this scheme bought the identities on the dark web, enrolled them in Medi-Cal, which is the state's equivalent of Medicaid. Then they purchased over a dozen hospice companies to bill hospice services with the stolen identities to the tune of about $267 million. 21 people now have been charged. 5 people have been arrested so far. 514, Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel says he's not stepping down from his post. Diaz-Canel making the comment to NBC's Meet the Press yesterday as the communist country faces pressure from the Trump administration.
The concept of revolutionaries giving up and stepping down is not part of our vocabulary.
Yes, so you're hearing him through a translator. There's comments come as President Trump called Cuba a failing country and that the U.S. would have the honor of taking the island less than 100 miles from the Florida coast.
In Cuba, the people who are in leadership position is not elected by the U.S. government, and they don't have a mandate from the U.S. government.
Yeah, so Cuba's been hit by a number of countrywide blackouts after being blocked from receiving oil shipments since January. Diaz-Canel, though, says they would be ready to defend themselves against a potential U.S. invasion.
If that happens, there will be fighting and there will be a struggle. And we'll defend ourselves. And if we need to die, we'll die.
Yeah, so there's comments coming after President Trump told reporters at the White House last month that they would have the pleasure of taking Cuba.
I have no fear. I am willing to give my life for the revolution. Of course, I wouldn't like that to be the attitude of the U.S. government.
Yeah, so the head of Cuba speaking out yesterday. In a moment, we'll tell you why President Trump is going after Pope Leo. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Monday. Good morning, Justin Allen.
Happy Monday. Good morning to you, Noam Layden. We'll start with the big day yesterday down at Augusta National Golf Club in Georgia. Rory McIlroy had to wait more than a decade to win the Masters and complete the career Grand Slam. He had to wait only a year to take home his second green jacket after squandering a record 6-stroke lead in Saturday's third round. McIlroy briefly lost the lead again Sunday before taking control on the second 9 at Augusta National to become the first back-to-back Masters champion since Tiger Woods in 2001 and 2002, and the fourth overall, joining joining Jack Nicklaus and Nick Faldo additionally. A day after his 1 over 73 opened the door for a handful of big names, McIlroy posted a 71 despite a bogey on the 18th to win by one stroke at 12 under 276. Congratulations goes out to Rory McIlroy. Now really the upper echelon of the all-time greats. No Layden, right? I mean, He's got to be.
Well, the last guy to do that was Tiger Woods 2 in a row, right?
Yeah, and now he's got, I believe, 7 complete majors on his docket. So Rory McIlroy solidifying, cementing his name with the all-time greats there. I'll head to the hardwood.
Does he get a second green jacket, or do they just put the same one from last year?
You get 2.
Okay.
And you get a new trophy and everything, yeah. So
it's kind of an ugly jacket. Like, where do you wear it outside of that moment where you walk out onto the green wearing it?
Well, every time you come back, every year.
I guess.
And you know, and then when, I mean...
But you can't... It's not a color you want to wear out for dinner.
No. Like, I wouldn't just wear it out. Like out on date night with his wife. No, I wouldn't just wear... That'd be a little obnoxious.
If he was single, I would say you wear it everywhere.
No,
but he's married, guy. So.
Yeah, I mean, maybe listen for a couple of weeks. Maybe you keep it on just to celebrate a little bit,
right?
But do a little victory lap. But no, I think you put it away, and they leave it at a certain point. They leave it at Augusta National.
Oh, you can't take it with you.
I think you can take it. Well, I'm not exactly sure, but I don't believe you can.
Oh, okay.
I believe you have to leave it there. So, and they keep it in the locker room, the Champions locker room there. So he's got 2 of them now. Out at MSG, the Knicks lost to the Hornets 110-96. They locked into that number 3 seed in the East. Mikal Bridges was the only starter to play for the Knicks yesterday, going the opening 23 seconds to extend his consecutive games played streak to 638, 8th longest in NBA history. Then committed a foul to check out of the game. The Knicks finished the season 53-29. They'll face number 6 seed Atlanta in the first round of the playoffs starting on Saturday. And out in Toronto, the Nets lost to the Raptors 136-101. Brooklyn ended the season 20-62, lost 3 straight to finish their worst season since posting the same record in the 2016 to 2017 season. On the ice in Elmont, the Islanders lost to the Canadiens 4-1. New York was eliminated from playoff contention after dropping 6 of their last 7 games. Up next for the Isles, they'll host the Carolina Hurricanes tomorrow night to conclude their regular season. Now New Jersey, the Devils, they beat the Senators 4-3. Up next for the Devs, they'll play at Boston tomorrow night to end their regular season. Rangers are in Florida against the Panthers tonight at 7. On the diamond in Tampa, the Yankees lost 5-4 to the Rays to suffer their first series sweep of the season. Up next for them, Will Warren will get the start in tonight's series opener back at home against the Angels. First pitch is scheduled for 7:05. And now in Queens, the Mets got shut out 1-0 by the Athletics, getting swept over the weekend as well. The Mets and Yankees have both lost on 5 consecutive days for the first time, according to Sport Radar. Up next for the Mets, they begin a 6-game road trip tonight against the Dodgers in LA. The lefty David Peterson will get the start. That's at 10:10 p.m. first pitch there. That is your Sports Now, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:21. President Trump going after Pope Leo over the weekend.
He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon so they can blow up the world. I'm not a fan of Pope Leo.
Pope Leo, of course, the first American to hold that position, has recently condemned President Trump's decisions about Iran as unacceptable. In response, the president posted an extended message attacking the Pope's views, arguing he's too permissive towards Iran's nuclear ambitions and too critical of U.S. actions abroad.
We don't like a Pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a Pope that says crime is okay in our city.
And the president says he does not want a Pope who publicly challenges the president in the White House. 5:22, did you see the splashdown of the Artemis II over the weekend? That was on Friday night right near San Diego. That was pretty cool to watch. The mission crew back in Houston, Texas. Astronaut Reed Wiseman says the team shared a unique experience in space.
We are bonded forever. And no one down here is ever going to know what the 4 of us just went through.
No, we won't. The astronauts returned safely Friday evening, splashing down in the Pacific. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen set a record by traveling farther into space than any humans before.
We are fortunate to be in this agency at this time together.
Christina Cook says seeing Earth from space wasn't really what she expected.
Earth was just this lifeboat,
right,
hanging undisturbingly in the universe.
Jeremy Hansen says NASA prepared them for space perfectly.
And I don't think people will really ever fully comprehend how well supported and trained we were.
NASA's administrator, Jarek Isaacman, he was the one who was welcoming the astronauts back to Earth after their historic trip around the moon.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome home, Artemis 2.
We then thanked the hundreds of people who were involved in the space mission.
I also want to acknowledge the contributions of the entire NASA workforce, our international partners at the European Space Agency and the Canadian Space Agency, and especially the American taxpayers.
Yeah, it was a good moment for NASA, and for America, for that matter. That trip out to, or at least near the moon, some 4,000 miles away. 524, former Vice President Kamala Harris says she's thinking about another run for the White House in 2028.
Listen, I might. I'm thinking about it.
Okay. She made the comment while answering a question from the Reverend Al Sharpton at the National Action Network's conference here in New York. The Hawaii Volcano Observatory says the Kailua volcano's latest eruption has ended more than 8 hours of continuous lava fountaining. Did you see any of this video over the weekend of this thing blowing? This visitor watching from a distance says the whole thing was wild.
This is a pretty amazing one. A lot of tephra, but it's falling away from us, fortunately, and we're staying on the safe side.
Volcano warnings are in effect because of hazardous conditions caused by the Kilauea's 44th eruptive episode. Lava fountains reaching heights of about 800 feet over the weekend. The Hawaii Volcanoes National Park closed because of the ash fall in the area. Rangers evacuating the area. They saw softball-size chunks falling across the overlook of the Kilauea military camp, so they wanted to get everybody out, but these visitors all watch from afar.
It's just so alive, and powerful.
Yeah, here's some of the people that were evacuated, include a school nearby.
Because of the road closures, we went ahead and, we had to evacuate for that reason. But we have been watching the volcano and, bubbling up in the dome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to watch. The King and Queen of the Netherlands have kicked off a 3-day trip to the U.S. today that includes a dinner at the White House tonight. King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima start their trip to Philadelphia before visiting D.C. and Miami. The trip aims to draw attention to and enhance the relationship between the U.S. and the Netherlands, meeting with local leaders, business people, and residents. 526. Why all of a sudden are so many rare birds visiting the tri-state?
And then we also have birds that wind up here on Long Island that have literally been blown off course.
Last week, a rare American woodcock made headlines for its presence in Bryant Park, and now wildlife experts are saying spottings of a rare species are on the rise. One local bird photographer tells Fox 5 she has seen quite a few birds not native to this region.
When you're a birder or an animal lover, we tend to know what belongs here and what doesn't. We've had a mandarin duck, a beautiful silver wood duck. We had a spoonbill. They typically come from Florida.
Experts also think this trend will continue with increasing winds over open water and people being careless with their pets. So some good news for local ornithologists. You will have plenty more variety in beaks to see through your binoculars. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
A Swedish study says early weight gain may be detrimental to your health.
Researchers from Lund University found that early adulthood obesity significantly raises the risk of premature death, especially from major causes like heart disease and diabetes. The longer the body carries the excess weight, the more the damage. Those who developed obesity between the ages of 17 and 29 had a 70% higher risk of premature death. I'm Mark Mayfield.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, April 13th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Mostly cloudy day on the way. Chance of an afternoon shower. The high 78. Tonight and over overnight, clear, low 63. And then Tuesday, sun and clouds. The high's going to be 82. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 46 clear in Bedford, up in Westchester. 49 and cloudy in Westfield over in New Jersey. And it's 50 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time, 541. Mayor Mamdani's first city-owned grocery store will be in East Harlem, and it'll cost taxpayers about $30 million to open. The mayor making the announcement yesterday as he celebrated his first 100 days in office. The store will be at the La Marqueta, which is a marketplace that's under the tracks that run over Park Avenue. It's scheduled to be up and running for business next year. Here was the mayor making the announcement late yesterday.
Grocery shopping will no longer be an unsolvable equation. The same market that Fiero LaGuardia opened in 1936. So working people then could save money on fruits and vegetables. We will continue his legacy.
All right, so the first store alone will cost about $30 million. That's what the New York Times is reporting. That would eat up nearly half of the $70 million the mayor had proposed for the 5 stores he was going to open across the city, one in each borough. The mayor revealing the plan at a Queen's Bash, celebrating his first 100 days in office, declared that all 5 of his planned city-owned grocery stores would be open by the time his first term ends in 2029.
Not to congratulate ourselves, but as a reminder of what is possible. With what we've accomplished in 14 weeks, imagine what we can do together in 4 years.
Okay, so here's the question is, what do New Yorkers think? They've been grading the mayor's performance.
30. Out of 100, so then 60, maybe 65. There's like a lot of things going on. I think he did better. He did better than I expected, actually.
Like a 80.
I would grade him at least a 80.
0, -0. Just not a fan of him.
What, from 80 to a 0, yeah?
The train system, it's horrible down there, especially before 6 a.m.
The subways.
Inflation everywhere. Property taxes going up. You have 2-family working homes now and barely making ends meet.
All the promises that he made about the free buses and stuff like that still haven't come to like fruition. It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, a lot of this is about affordability. When you talk to voters, they say it's just not affordable to live in the city. And then the second biggest thing is safety on the subway.
The situation is still kind of a little messy, but that's one of the most important issues. I'm still seeing a lot of homeless people, you know. I think the city can do a lot better.
Definitely inflation go down a lot. Clean up the streets.
Yeah, so the mayor celebrating those first 100 days in Maspeth, Queens yesterday. 5:43, a man is dead, a woman injured in a deadly Sunday stabbing in Queens.
The NYPD says the victims were attacked inside a Richmond Hill apartment on 86th Street at 2:30 Sunday morning. A 41-year-old man was stabbed in the chest and died, but a 32-year-old woman who was slashed in the arm survived. Police are searching for a person of interest seen fleeing the scene. They're also trying to determine the connection between the victims and a motive for the deadly attack. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
And then maybe you saw this on Saturday. A man slashed 3 elderly people with a machete while calling himself Lucifer in the unprovoked attack. He was then fatally shot by cops. This was Grand Central Terminal on Saturday morning. An 85-year-old man attacked with a machete, a 65-year-old man hit in the head. This was right at the 4, 5, and 6 subway platform. A 7-year-old woman slashed in the shoulder. There were a lot of eyewitnesses.
I look to my right and I see a guy holding his head. He's bleeding. A cop is trying to help him. I look to my left. I see a lady. She's hurt as well. That's when we hear, get on the ground, get on the ground. Put your hands up, get on the ground. And that's when we hear bang, 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 bang. And as we hear the gunshots, we're like, what's going on? What's going on?
So Anthony Griffin was shot and killed by police after they asked him a lot of times to drop the machete. He refused to do so. And News 12, they actually caught up with his girlfriend yesterday, who said that, he had a lot of mental health issues. Here's girlfriend and some family members.
Could you ever imagine him doing something like this?
No. It hurts. That's like my son, you know? He's like my son. I've never seen him be violent to hurt anybody.
All he was doing was walking around with his machete, which he has the right to because everyone has the right to bear arms.
Yes, so Griffin was transported to Bellevue Hospital where he was pronounced dead. His girlfriend has a message to those who were hurt by Griffin.
I want to really apologize to those people's family
They didn't deserve that.
Yeah, so apparently they knew, at least the family, that he had a number of mental health issues. In a moment, we'll go out to New Jersey. We'll hear from some eyewitnesses that were there when a masked gunman shot up a Chick-fil-A, and the search for this gunman still on. We'll get into that. But first, 5:46, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ella.
Thank you, Noam Layden. Start down south at Augusta National Golf Club. Rory McIlroy is your champion for the second straight year, securing that second green jacket after squandering a record 6-stroke lead in Saturday's third round. McIlroy briefly lost the lead again Sunday before taking control on the second 9 at Augusta National. Will become the first back-to-back Masters champion since Tiger Woods in 2001 and 2002, and the 4th overall, joining the likes of Jack Nicklaus and Nick Faldo as well. A day after his 1 over 73 opened the door for a handful of golfers, McIlroy posted a 71 despite a bogey on the 18th to win by 1 stroke at 12 under 276. His 7th major overall, of course. And then again, that second green jacket back in the closet of Rory McIlroy. And to answer your question, Noam Layden.
Which question was that?
You do get to take the jacket home for a year, and then you have to leave it back at Augusta National.
Now, do you have to bring it back dry cleaned, or can you just hand it back to them?
I bet they have a dry cleaner on site there.
Oh, okay.
It just seems like the kind of place they might have that. You know? Out on the hardwood at MSG, the Knicks, they lost to the Hornets 110-96. Knicks locked into that number 3 seed in the East, and the only starter to play yesterday was Mikal Bridges. Played the opening 23 seconds to extend his consecutive games played streak to 638, 8th longest in NBA history, then committed a foul to check out of the game. The Knicks finished the season 53-29. They'll face number 6 seed Atlanta in the first round of the playoffs starting on Saturday. Out in Toronto, the Nets lost to the Raptors 136-101 to wrap up their regular season. They finished 20-62, lost 3 straight to finish their worst season since posting the same record in 2016 and 2017. Out in Elmont on the ice, Islanders lost to Canadiens 4-1. New York was eliminated from playoff contention after dropping 6 of their last 7 games. Up next for the Owls, they'll host the Carolina Hurricanes tomorrow night to conclude their regular season. Out in New Jersey, Devils, they beat the Senators 4-3. Up next for the Devs, they'll play at Boston tomorrow night to end their regular season. Rangers are out in Florida tonight against the Panthers at 7 p.m. And speaking of Florida, out in Tampa, the Yankees lost 5-4 to the Rays to suffer their first series sweep of the season. Up next for them, Will Warren will get the start in tonight's series opener back at home against the Angels. First pitch there, 7:05. And in Queens, the Mets got shut out 1-0 by the Athletics, getting swept over the weekend as well. Mets and Yankees have lost both on 5 consecutive days for the first time ever. Up next for the Mets, they begin a 6-game road trip tonight against the Dodgers in L.A. The lefty David Peterson will get the start for a 10:10 p.m. first pitch. That is your Sports Gnome, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time, 5:51, was watching some of this dramatic video that shows a masked gunman fleeing a New Jersey Chick-fil-A after a mass shooting at the restaurant on Saturday night. Dash cam footage shows a man with a gun and a mask running away from the scene of the shooting in Union Township. This was about 9 o'clock Saturday night. Terrified customers seen escaping after multiple, we think it's multiple, but nobody's confirmed this. Gunmen stormed the restaurant, forced their way behind the counter, fired multiple shots. 1 person was killed in the shooting. They have not ID'd that person yet. 6 others employees at the restaurant were shot. They suffered non-life-threatening wounds. This is a woman whose daughter works at this Chick-fil-A.
It's upsetting to hear that. We see that on TV and all the time, and then to have to see it treated in person, it's not a good thing.
By the way, that is the 100th mass shooting so far this year across the country. Customers say it looked like a war zone inside this restaurant.
I see the police. I heard the shot very close.
How many gunshots did you hear?
More than 7.
Yeah, so no arrests have been made. No suspects have been identified. Now, normally when we see these kinds of mass shootings, it's 1 person involved, but sometimes in the hysteria, the craziness of it all, it looks like there's more than 1 gunman. But Union County, the prosecutor's not telling us a whole lot about what's going on. No arrests have been made. No suspects have been identified.
A lot of commotion on 22, a lot of people running in all sorts of different directions. When I came in this morning to review some of the footage, it was craziness.
Yeah, so Union County Police Department, Union County Prosecutor's Office so far have not responded for comment on this shooting. 5:53, let's bring it back here into the city. And apparently NYCHA has a big squatters problem.
A new report says NYCHA has a real bad problem when it comes to squatters. The City Department of Investigation found that 548 empty apartments were hijacked by squatters over the past 3 years. Cops have made 81 arrests so far in connection to that issue, but Councilmember Alex Aviles tells ABC7 that the over 150,000 people on the public housing wait list deserve better.
It's horrendous. It's just another added stressor to families who are already under significant duress with buildings that are just a mess.
The report listed a number of possible fixes, saying NYCHA should do more inspections, especially of vacant units, and they also should improve their lock system and upgrade the type of key residents use. NYCHA said they are accepting the recommendations and implementing the changes accordingly. I'm Liz Radabali for 77 WABC News.
New York City Rent Guidelines Board debating over whether to implement a rent freeze for the city's more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants. Well, these tenants, you might not be surprised, are all for it.
They're constantly raising the rent every year. People don't get increases in salary.
They should just put a freeze in it for a couple of years.
The board met Friday, released a report showing 2026 landlord operating costs rose more than 5% this year, but also landlords had income rise more than 6% between 2023 and 2024. Now, Mayor Mamdani campaigned heavily on a rent freeze to make things more affordable for New Yorkers, and 6 of the 9 board members have been appointed by him. The board votes on the matter in June, and any increase would go into effect come October. 5:55 on Friday, we learned that former Democratic Congressman Elliot Engel had died at the age of 79.
The Bronx native served more than 3 decades in the U.S. House, representing parts of the Bronx and Westchester after first winning election in 1988. Engel rose to chair the House Foreign Affairs Committee, becoming a key voice on U.S. diplomacy and human rights. His family says he died peacefully, surrounded by loved ones in the borough where he grew up. In New York, I'm Jennifer Bolsoni.
I saw over the weekend former Congressman Peter King sending out a message saying how much he liked Elliot Engel, even though they didn't agree a whole lot. And you remember what Elliot Engel was famous for so many years? Is he said, I don't get a lot of face time as a congressman because I'm in the Hudson Valley. So what he would do is he would show up at the State of the Union hours and hours before the president would show up, so he could be the end guy on the aisle to shake the president's hand when the president walked in, right? So he was famous for that because he would be like, yeah, I have to hold it in for hours on end, because he knew that was the only real camera time he would get was the president made that stroll to the podium and he would shake Elliot Engel's hand. Hudson Valley Congressman Michael Lawler officially kicking off his re-election campaign yesterday in Nanuet as the Republican looks on to hold on to one of the most competitive congressional seats in the nation.
I am proud to stand before you today and announce that I am running for re-election, and we are going to win. Yes, we are.
The first-term representative for New York's 17th District is expected to face a tough race with multiple Democratic candidates competing in a primary to challenge him come November. Voters in Rockland County say affordability is the top issue heading into this election.
I feel like Rockland has become incredibly unaffordable in recent years. Rent, just the way prices have increased, and wages have not increased to match them at all. It's almost become like the prices in the city.
Groceries, gas, rent, everything is going up a lot, and honestly, there's a big wage gap. I have a really good job, and unfortunately, it's still hard to get by with 3 kids.
The primary is June 13th, and we'll end on Long Island, where monk parrots. Have you ever seen a monk parrot before? They look like a parrot, and the last place you expect to see them flying is a place like Long Island, because you think like it can't be warm enough for them, but they are a familiar sight along the south shore of Long Island. They build these large nests atop utility poles and power lines, and PSE&G crews over the weekend started removing these nests for safety concerns, and the move has sparked a mixed reaction from residents. I guess they're worried that they could be a fire hazard because they're just gigantic nests. They can weigh like 100 pounds, but neighbors who love seeing these birds are worried that means they'll go away.
Right across the street, there was a huge nest, and they came and took it down, and then the birds were all flying around, and you could see, obviously, they were destroyed, and I don't know what happened to them. I understand why they do it, because I think it's a fire hazard. It shouldn't have all that, the nesting by the transformer, but I just wish they would relocate the birds.
Yeah, I don't know how you relocate birds, but PSE&G says the removals are necessary because they cause damage to equipment, they could cause power outages.
They're very cute. They fly like in fives. It's nice. It's different. It makes you feel like you're down south or something. I'm sure they're very smart that they'll just move with it or something like that.
There should be some kind of a plan in place, not just take their home and then they have to just go find someplace else to live.
By the way, they have the right to move them because the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation classifies these monk parrots, which are really cool, by the way, as non-native invasive species. So under state law, they're considered unprotected, meaning the nests can be legally removed, and they started doing that over the weekend.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Roger Stone here. Every day you wait, your money loses value, but gold and silver don't follow those same rules. American Sovereign Bullion gives you access to a nationwide wholesaler network, helping you secure aggressive pricing on real physical metals. Call 844-272-2428 now to get your free gold and silver guide to learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver, delivered right to your door or with a gold IRA. Visit ASBGold.com. That's ASBGold.com for your free gold and silver guide today.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.